The doors to the Viridian Tea House are open once more. Hey everybody, good to see you again. Hope you're taking care of yourself and each other. Well, without further ado, let's get started. Oh, I do want to say quickly that we are dealing with lovely temperatures in the 60s here in the Mile High City, and it's wonderful. 2 days from now, we're going to get snow again, so welcome spring. Anyway, I had to say that. All right, let's get to it. So with this video, I've got 3 books to review, and one of them was written by a good friend of mine. So yay, I'm so excited. I just want to do a shout out quickly to all my friends who are artists, painters, writers, makers of jewelry, singer-songwriters, whatever you are. I salute you. You guys bring beauty and joy into the world, and you constantly do it. So for all the artwork I've bought and the music and the books and the jewelry or whatever, thank you so much. I truly do appreciate what you do. All right, without further ado, let's begin. So the first author I'm going to talk about, I'm actually a late bloomer to reading her work, but I've heard so much about her, and I said, you know what, sit near the bush, just dive in. And strangely enough, I didn't start with her fiction, but I started with her nonfiction. I know that she did die recently. I think it was last year. Earlier this year. I can't remember, but I know it's been recent. And who am I talking about? Joan Didion. And this collection of essays called Let Me Tell You What I Mean was a fantastic read. You know, I've noticed that even when I do enjoy a really good read, sometimes I'll play on my phone and then I'll get up to get some water or just do whatever. This book kept me glued. I thoroughly enjoyed the essays. I imagined her voice reading this to me, and it was just a great read. Truly enjoyed it. And for those of you who have, this is one of her infamous pictures. I love that picture of her. It just shows, here I am, welcome to my world, welcome to my words. Let's begin. So with this, Joan Didion, What I Mean, I'll just read the inside of it for you. From one of our most iconic and influential writers, 12 pieces that offer an illuminating glimpse into the mind and process of a legendary figure. And side note, she is a legendary figure. She really is. These essays from 1968 to 2000, which have not been gathered together until now, showcase Joan Didion's incisive reporting, her empathetic gaze, and her insights on writing. They touch upon subjects ranging from newspapers to the fantasy of San Simeon to not getting into Stanford. On Being Unchosen by the College of One's Choice, Didion ponders the fraught parent-child dilemma. Quote, I wonder if we had better not find some way to extricate our expectations from theirs, to let them work through their own rejections. From her admiration for Hemingway's sentences to her acknowledgement that Martha Stewart's story is one, quote unquote, that has historically encouraged women in this country, even as it has threatened men. These pieces are acutely and brilliantly observed. This timeless collection of Didion's mostly early writing reveals what would become her subjects, including the press, politics, California robber barons, women, the act of writing, and her own self-doubt. Each piece is classic, incisive, bemused, and stunningly prescient. Like I said, I thoroughly enjoyed this book. Let me tell you what I mean. The only thing that I didn't like about it was the essay regarding Martha Stewart. And it wasn't because it wasn't written well. I mean, all the essays were written really well. It's just I didn't really want to read about Martha Stewart, so that was really it. But so for an excellent book of essays, I give it the Viridian Tea House 4 cups of tea. Thank you so, so much for your words and your work. It's just a beautiful piece of literature. Well, nonfiction, but you know what I mean. Anyway, So the next book was written by a friend of mine. I haven't seen him in years. And I can't remember which con we first met in, but I just remember I was like, who is that? But a really cool guy, very intelligent, very creative, and just never stopping with the creativity. He's one of those that I include in that group I talked about earlier. He is such a talented and amazing writer, and I just hope that he continues doing that. So I'm talking about Sean Taylor in his I Hero universe, Show Me a Hero. You know, I'll tell you something, this falls under the category of books that I bought 20 years ago and now I'm just getting to reading them. Sorry, I'm really sorry. I bought this book, let's see, actually he signed it back in 2014. Yes, that's been 8 years. Wow. But when I picked it up and I read the first story involving a superhero called The Fool, I felt the hooks. And I said, this is a winner. I thoroughly enjoyed Show Me a Hero. I know nothing about the I Hero universe, but I need to remedy that. I need to actually like go onto the website or whatever. But I love the different superheroes. And actually the sections, let's see if I can get this right. The sections of the book fall into 4 categories. You have jokers, thieves, gods, and freaks. And you know, some of the stories I was like, I don't see how this is in that section. I was like, oh, okay, I got it. It took me a minute. Some of my favorite characters in here are, going back through, I enjoyed the Fool. I actually enjoyed the Boom Machine. So Sean, if you're watching this, I really like the Boom Machine. I like how you handled that character. Let's see. It wasn't sad, but the one that just made me go, I really want to know more, was Turquoise Spider. And I know the author's note explained it, and I totally get it, but I really want to know more about Turquoise Spider. I really do. And Tobit's Angel. That one was the one that, it was the saddest one. And if you buy a copy of this book, you'll see why. You may think differently, but the one about Tobit's Angel, Easter Song, that was probably the saddest one. Let's see, who else did I like? Living Doll was interesting too. Like I was just imagining the character. I was like, oh yeah, I can see that. Yeah. So a great collection of stories. So let me read the back of it for you. Show Me a Hero is an anthology of superhero fiction set in the award-winning I Hero universe. Collected is Taylor's full run on the series, including his fan-favorite characters Fishnet Angel, Starlight, The Grandstander, Double Shot, and many more. Amazing book. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I thoroughly enjoy all the books I read. So for this, I give it the Viridian Tea House 4 cups of tea. Now, here's the thing though. I would have given it a 5, except for one thing, and this is me personally. The book was phenomenal. I enjoyed the writing. I enjoyed Sean's view or creations of these characters. But the one thing that I noticed was that it was really realistic. Because, and I was telling James about this, partner in crime, boyfriend, master of tea. Anyway, I was telling him that when I think superhero, I think like Superman or my favorite, Moon Knight. Moon Knight is amazing. Catch the Netflix miniseries. I think it's on Netflix. It's at the end of this month with Oscar Isaacs. Okay, shameless promotion over. But one thing that, or Wonder Woman. But one thing that I noticed was all of these superheroes were very realistic. Some of them were washed up drunks. Some of them had retired and become mothers. Some of them, their husbands or their significant others divorced them because they chose the life of being a superhero. And there were maybe a couple of moments where I laughed and I was like, oh, okay, that's really funny. but a lot of times it was very sobering to read this book. There's nothing wrong with that. I'm just stating what I've discovered while reading this. Very sobering book. It's like, I guess in my mind, I'd always imagined superheroes to never have problems, to always save the day, to always be positive, to always have a smile on their face. This shows me that even with their powers or without their powers, they're still, to a point, human. And I love that. This book gets a very, very solid 4 cups of tea. So Sean, excellent work with this book. Truly excellent. I enjoyed it. I will say, for the record, again, Sean, if you're watching this, Fishnet Angel, did not expect that. Well played. Well played. Anyway, so that is Sean Taylor and I Hero Omnibus. Show Me a Hero. Buy it. Buy it. Buy the book. You will not be disappointed. All right. And so the third book for this video, I've never met this person before in my life, but if I ever did, I would love to just make him a cup of tea from my tea company and just ask him so many questions. I won't even go into it. But so in being a writer myself, I've recently delved into the mystery genre. I used to not really be a fan of mysteries. I mean, I've read Agatha Christie and I was like, okay, it's really cool. And then There Are None is my all-time favorite book of hers. So when I made the switch into writing it takes a lot of chutzpah. It really does, because you have to keep up with all the characters. You have to deal with the victim. You have to figure out the weapon. You have to figure out the person, the perpetrator. You have to figure out why they're doing it. And yeah, it's a fun process. It really is. I truly do enjoy writing mysteries. And if you're new to Viridian Tea House, yes, I am an author of about 15, 16 something teen books. And one of them is a murder mystery series called Jackie Verona, which is set during the Beat generation. Book 1 is out. It's called A Murder of Gypsies. The second book, The Devil's Music, is in the hot hands of my publisher, Pro Se Productions. Shameless promotion over. Anyway, so there are a couple of murder mystery series that I got into and I got out of, but this one I'm only on the 3rd book, but I'm with it to the bitter end. Who am I talking about? Charles Finch. And this is the 3rd book in the Charles Lennox series called The Fleet Street Murders. I bought this book on Amazon. Sorry, I did buy it on Amazon. And I got it on Saturday. I finished it yesterday and I was almost late for work because of it. This had my blood racing, my little gray cells, as Hercule Poirot will say, my little gray cells were just burning and blazing, trying to figure out who did this, who did these murders. So without further ado, let me read the back of it for you. The Fleet Street Murders finds gentleman detective Charles Lennox investigating the mysterious, simultaneous deaths of 2 veteran newspapermen while engaged in a heated race for Parliament. It's Christmas, 1866, and amateur sleuth Charles Lennox, recently engaged to his best friend, Lady Jane Grey, is happily celebrating the birthday in his Mayfair townhome. Across London, however, 2 journalists have just met with violent deaths, 1 shot, 1 throttled. Lennox soon involves himself in the strange case, but must leave it behind to go north to Stirrington, where he is running for Parliament. Once there, he gets a further shock when Lady Jane sends him a letter whose contents may threaten their nuptials. In London, the police apprehend 2 unlikely and unrelated murder suspects. From the start, Lennox has his doubts. The crimes, he is sure, are tied. But how? Racing back and forth between London and Stirrington, Lennox must negotiate the complexities of crime and politics, not to mention his imperiled engagement. But as the case mounts, Lennox learns that the person behind the murders may be closer to him and his beloved than he knows. Oh my God. I was literally like, like that with this book. So this is the third book in the Charles Lennox series, The Fleet Street Murders. And excellent job. I've once again returned to Victorian England with Charles Lennox and Lady Jane Grey, and going to Stirrington with him as well. The figuring out this mystery, it was kind of tricky, and it's amazing, and I try to do this with my work, but it's amazing how the smallest little item can turn the case into being solved. I love it. And with this regard, I'm not even going to say it. You just have to get it. So once again, this is the third book in the Charles Lennox series, The Fleet Street Murders by Charles Finch. And for an excellent job well done, I give it the Viridian Tea House 5 cups of tea. Mr. Finch, if you are watching this video, I am totally fangirling over Charles Lennox. So thank you so much, and I look forward to getting the fourth book. So, excellent books here. All right, so what's next? So let's talk about the tea portion. So anyway, so this week's cup of tea, which I have in my wonderful indigo colored teacup, which I actually bought regarding a manuscript that I'm going to be working on soon. So you're just going to have to wait to figure out why this is so important. So the tea I am drinking today is one of my own, and it is actually part of the Maya Angelou Poetry and Tea Collection. Now, for those of you who don't know the story behind that, I reached out to a company inquiring about making tea blends inspired by a certain person that meant a lot to me. The group replied back and said it was really expensive and the family issues and yada, yada, yada. However, they said, we represent Maya Angelou. Would you be interested in making tea inspired by her? After I finished screaming, I said yes, and the rest is history. There are 4 blends in the Poetry and Tea collection, and all 4 are inspired by poems written by Miss Angelou. It is Phenomenal Woman, Senses of Insecurity, Late October, and Still I Rise. This one that I'm drinking now is Phenomenal Woman, and the ingredients in this are Assam tea, sage, lemon balm, honey crystals, and ginger. And this is what it looks like. If you can make it really close, or actually you can just kind of see it. That's what the blend looks like. And brewed some here, so just letting you know, I let this steep for about 5 minutes, and I actually let the water get a little bit too hot, so it's cooled down quite a bit. But I will say that the first ingredients that I get on my tongue are the ginger and the sage. And the sage is not overpowering. In fact, I try not to use too much sage when I work with certain tea blends. Another tea blend of mine that has sage is the Aisa blend, which was inspired by The Butterfly Crest by Ava Van Rel. That's another excellent book. But with this, I am definitely getting the ginger, the lemon balm. Lemon balm actually has a minty taste to it. So don't let the lemon really fool you of the lemon balm. It has like a citrusy, minty taste. But yeah, I'm getting the ginger, the sage, and the lemon balm. Now, that's lovely. So the Assam tea is black tea, of course. It's from the Assam region in India. One of the reasons why I use Assam tea for my tea blends is because it's very mellow, it's very mild, and it has an earthy taste to it. It's not like dirt, but it's a very a low-key kind of taste. And because of that, it works really well with other ingredients. So for those of you who wondered why I use an Assam more so than, some other kind of black tea, that's the reason why. But yes, so the ingredients for this, oh, well, actually, I don't know if you can see the tub. It's kind of clouded, but once again, this is the Maya Angelou Poetry and Tea Collection, Phenomenal Woman. And again, it's Assam tea, black tea, sage, lemon balm, honey crystals, and ginger. So third and final sip for now. One thing that I've noticed, and I've said this in other videos, I noticed that as the tea cools, some flavors will go up and other flavors will go down. Or it'll kind of be like this blend where you get all 5 ingredients mixed together. But I'm noticing, with this, I am definitely getting the ginger and I'm definitely getting the lemon balm. And the sage is all the way in the back, but it rounds out the ginger and the lemon balm. I happen to be a fan of ginger. I know a lot of people don't really care for ginger because it's too strong. But strangely enough, when you add it to other ingredients, especially with the Assam tea in this blend, it's muted, but it's still pronounced at the same time. You're not gagging on it. So this is Maya Angelou's Poetry and Tea Collection, Phenomenal Woman. That's another show of it again. And this tea, as well as all the other teas in the Poetry and Tea Collection, are available in the Viridian Tea Company Etsy store. So if you're looking at this video, I will have the link posted and you can buy to your heart's content one or all the bags within the Poetry and Tea Collection. So, good tea. And also, speaking of tea, just kind of throwing that out there. You never know what I'm going to talk about in these different videos, but this was kind of like a last minute thing. I want to talk about a particular magazine that I've been following for years. So you probably heard me talk about it before, either in person or farmers markets or even through this video channel, and that's Global Tea Hut. They are located in Taiwan. They are all about tea and Tao. And if you subscribe to them, then every month you get a magazine and you also get a tin of tea. And the different issues of the magazine have just been phenomenal. You learn about the different kinds of teaware. You learn about the classics of tea. There was even tea fiction, and I wrote a story and it got in that issue. So this issue that I read, I'm actually really behind in reading my magazine, so sorry. This one is January of this year, and it deals with tea and food. And I just have to say, this was quite the eye-opener. I know that they will do tea and food issues every so often. I think it's 2 or 3 by now. I can't remember. This is a reminder for me and for anybody else who not only enjoys a good cup of tea, but also enjoys food, preparing it, getting it from a farmer's market, learning about it, learning, what vegetables go well together, what do not, spices, all kinds of things like that. And actually, I'm not going to read parts of this magazine, but it's just the biggest thing that I learned with this was, just like with food, you should feel a sense of calm, focus when it comes to tea. And in one of the articles that I read, the gentleman was talking about how, with Westerners, how we're cooking, but we're checking our phone, but we're talking to people, but we're letting people in the house, but we're worried about this or worried about that. Why not block everything out when you cook and only focus on the food? And for me, that goes for tea as well. Whenever I drink tea, I focus. I calm down, I block everything out, and I just focus on the tea, giving the tea, and with this, the food, the respect that it deserves. So I think the subscription is $25 a month. And like I said, you do get an issue, you do get a magazine, and then you also get a tin of tea. And each issue will talk about the tea that you're getting. And sometimes they'll throw in something extra in your package, like a tea towel or a card or artwork or something like that. So I truly did enjoy reading the January 2022 issue of Global Tea Hut involving tea and food, and just show it to you one more time. I love that cover. It's beautiful. So, well, we have come to the end of another video, and I'm looking at my clock and it's like, wow, 25 minutes. I talk a lot. Anyway, so let's wrap this up with a meditation. So find a comfortable spot, either seated, standing up, or lying down. And if you have some tea with you, you can keep it in your hands and just feel the warmth. So, you know what? I'm not going to close my eyes this time. In fact, I am just going to guide you through it as always, but with my eyes open. And so close your eyes if you want. And take several deep breaths in through the nose and out through the mouth. And all I want to do right now, as you sit there quietly, is to just tell you thank you. Thank you for watching my silliness. Thank you for being a part of this. I am truly grateful for each and every one of you. Thank you so much. I know that we have a lot going on in our world today, a lot. And I hope that these videos, however long I make them, that they give you a little breath of fresh air, just a little bit of hope. So I raise my cup to you. Thank you. Let's just be quiet for a minute. In wrapping up this meditation, let's take one deep breath in through the nose and then out through the mouth and slowly exhale. Open your eyes. If you have your cup of tea, take a sip. And again, for the millionth time, thank you so much for watching these videos. Thank you for being a part of it all. And I hope that the rest of your day and the rest of your week goes really well. And if you are dealing with some trouble or just a lot on your plate, have a cup of tea. That might help a little. So until next time, I raise my teacup to you. Take care, and I'll see you really soon.